This movie explains the NUP module, available in Metrix 2010 and onwards. Note that this movie is not all-inclusive. The scope here is to quickly and simply explain the how and the why of the module, to explain what it is and not how to configure and use it. Further details can be found in the Metrix user guide. Whether or not this module will be valuable or necessary for a customer is a pretty black and white issue. You've either got the finishing equipment capable of supporting this kind of work or you don't. And if you do, you absolutely need this module. Let's jump in and I'll explain. When we go ahead and create a new project in Metrix, let's go ahead and add a product to it. I'll call this one a book. It's a bound project. We'll say it's self-covered, bound on the left-hand side. Let's give it a quantity, a size. Here's the crux of it. Is this project, is this book, being stitched one up? In other words, the signatures are being stacked, we put some staples or whatever the binding methodology is, and we do a three-way knife trim. Is that the case? That's one-up binding, we call it. Or is it some two or three-up bound process, where we're printing two or possibly even three books, or bound products, together? So they're printing together, they're being folded together, they're being bound together. And only once all the bindery work has been done, affixing all the signatures together, then we do 1, 2, 3 knives, and either 4, 5 knives, or just one single knife down the middle, whatever. There's different reasons to do either. Or we take a book saw and we saw the book in half. If that's the kind of work we're doing, that's what this module enables. If we don't need that, if we don't have that equipment in our shop, we just don't need this module. So the capacity or capability to do this kind of work here at all is what the module provides. Now there's other options available to it. I'm not going to discuss those. What I will do though is show you a project done one way and one done the other way, so you can see what it looks like inside Metrix once or if we have this feature available to us. I'm just going to cancel this and open up a project done one way, and then open up a similar project done another way. Let's scroll down and try this one here. Okay, here I've got a book. It's a 32-pager. Pages are 8 3/8, 5 1/4, and I can look at those signatures. It's being done as 2/16. Now you could argue maybe this should be done as a single 32-page signature. Let's just assume the stock is too thick. There's other reasons I want to break this into 2/16. That's outside the scope of this movie here. The point is though, it's being done as 2/16, and as such they could be produced together. There's first signature on the bottom, the second one on the top, together on one sheet. Now that's not what we're talking about here. This is just simply two signatures on one sheet. This sheet would have to be printed. We'd have to cut the sheet apart, fold these separate, assemble them separate, bind them separate. That's not what this feature is all about. This feature is about a different way of printing, folding, and binding it. So if this is how you do your work, or simply one of these on a signature by itself, then all you need is just the single built-in one-up binding capabilities of Metrix. I'm going to show you this same project, however, done as a two-up. In fact, what I can do is change the project very quickly from one-up to two-up. I'm going to go into the dialog, though, to take a look at it. I'm changing it from one-up to two-up. I have choices about head direction, head to foot versus head to head, etc. I'm not going to worry about that now, but by changing it here, still the same two signatures being bound together, but each signature now has a second instance of itself. So the brighter yellow in the center here, this is the first up, if you will, the center 8 pages showing, and then the second up of them on the outside edges. And we see the same for the second one here, but the idea is this is one single object. Now of course, to put these onto sheets right now, at the moment, it's just a big mess. So I'm going to just throw this through AutoPlan here just to arrange these more properly on some sheets. So we've got two sheets. There's my first signature, printing two up, it'll be folded two up, it'll be bound two up. And my second signature, again, printed, folded, and bound two up. And it is a single object, always kept together as a single item. All of the properties of it are being validated against the stitching equipment as a single item. Now, if you have the question in viewing this movie, why is what I did a good thing? Because I've actually got more plates being produced, more make-ready time on the press. That's not what this feature is actually solving. This feature helps people when they're doing high production runs, because the amount of time that we save in folding and in binding is much more cost effective than the extra plates and the extra time on press. But again, it all focuses around one central issue. Do you do this kind of work, and do you have the equipment to support it? If you do, long ago in this movie you've already recognized your need for this feature. If you've reached this point in the movie and you're still saying, I don't get it, why would you do that, or that doesn't make sense, or how in the world would you finish that, it's probably pretty clear you don't have the equipment to do it, doesn't make sense, you don't need the module. So again, it's pretty black and white. On our website there are movies that explain this in more detail. There's documentation that explains it in more detail. I've tried certainly not to focus here on exactly how we do this. I've really tried to avoid most of the why of why we do this feature in general, but it should be pretty clear whether or not this module makes sense for you to purchase.